Going back to the part about extraterrestrial DNA, in light of this evidence, what does that actually mean for our deepest beliefs about God and spirit and humanity's place in the universe or universes?
Well, I think that's the big one that's going to be quite a shock to billions of people on this planet that have certain belief systems that are very much tied into the belief systems of planet Earth, religions, whether they believe their religion is accurate and a true understanding of the multidimensional, or whether or not they're scientific based and don't believe in anything at all. When you've got this collection of beliefs about how they understand reality. And I think the hardest thing that's going to be for those individuals is to realize that much of what they've been taught to believe in, whether it's scientific, archaeological, spiritual, whatever, has been inaccurate. That in fact, they've been told in many cases an edited version of the truth. And that's going to be very hard. And that's what a lot of experiencers that have had contact find. They start questioning everything because what they're experiencing is not the same as what they're being told to believe or whatever. I remember, and I wrote about it in The New Human, of a lovely Indian young man who wrote to me and told me he was a starseed. And he said, and my biggest problem is with my fellow countrymen, he said, and family and relatives, is we have about 100 gods in India, he said, and they think these 100 are gods, and I know that they're not gods. I know they're extraterrestrial, but I can't possibly tell them that they're extraterrestrials and they're actually worshipping extraterrestrials, because they wouldn't understand, they wouldn't get it. And I think when disclosure really complete does happen, and it's happening probably a lot faster than the government wants in many ways, because people are coming out and speaking about their experiences. You're seeing all these craft in the skies now, and there's a lot going on there. The biggest thing is for those in a belief system that has seen these ETs as gods, are going to be in for an almighty shock, thinking, well, I've been worshipping something that wasn't a god after all. How does that feel? And there's going to be a lot of people very, very confused, very fearful. And as many experiencers find, they've got to start again in terms of building up what is reality. What can they trust? What can they believe in? How does that change the way that they live their lives? So it's going to be a huge shift in the way that they want to perceive the world. And some are going to be very angry that they will see as being misled and what have you. So there's going to be a lot of turmoil for quite some time until people start to reappraise that what they decide to believe is their reality and whatever. And I think we're headed for that, but it needs to happen. It's a bit like it's already happening with some of the things that are happening in the world already, in terms of their realizing how we're being manipulated across the planet by various agencies, let's put it like that. And people are starting to wake up and realize that there are people that are running this planet that aren't necessarily doing it for humanity's benefit, just for themselves. And I think that's a big shock to a lot of people, to think you can't trust certain agencies that you believed you could trust, whether it's governments or whether or not it's religions and people in them, or whether or not it's the science fraternity who also lie, So it's going to be a very big, difficult shift for many people.
I should say, in my opinion, I don't think any real authentic disclosure will come from governments, simply because of how many people are openly talking about this topic right now. And I think that as a result of the open conversation that everyone else is choosing to have on the side, outside of mainstream voices, the government just kind of has these moments every once in a while where they are sweating profusely and they adjust their tie and they swallow really hard and they throw you a blurred image of something and they say, oh yeah, there's UFOs out there. And then they distract your attention back to something else. almost as if they're in denial that they have lost as much influence as they have, you know?
I think you're absolutely right. And I've been in this field of supporting people with this understanding of nearly 30 plus years. And, I've seen little change in their attitude to what's happening in the skies. And they're supposed to be given an ultimatum, from what I understand, of various of these intelligences to disclose it now, but they're still controlling the narrative and still trying to say they don't really know what they are or who they are or whatever, when they have known for almost a century, in fact, that we've been visited and they've had interactions with them.